Hello everybody, MacAttack here. Welcome back to another P3D video. As you can see in the background, we have the awesome Washington Monument. We are at Ronald Reagan. We're at DCA, and I found this flight plan which was very interesting only because it was very, very long, and I wanted to do a long haul flight this time. This flight goes from DCA all the way to Seattle. It's about 6 hours and 10 minutes long. So we're going to give a long haul flight a try here. I haven't asked for anything yet. We just started parking and get everything connected and turned on. The jetway does not work, clearly, because I've asked it to go and now it's just spazzing out, if you can see that. But this is an actual flight. We're set to depart at 8 a.m. It's currently 7:40-ish. What time is it? If I go into the cockpit, that helps. It is currently, 7:40. Okay, 7:40 in the morning, so we can start asking for our catering service. Let's see. I know you guys can't see this, I'm sorry, but GSX is the program that I use. We're going to ask for catering. We are actually, well, they don't have Alaska, but they have American Airlines, so we're going to go ahead and just ask our buddies at American Airlines to help us out. There's our tug waiting for us to get ready. Okay, so while we're waiting, looks like we're going to fly at flight level 360 today, so we'll get everything all plugged in. First we have to go to the upper panel, and we have to align the IRSs. Get those so that it knows where our position is. Otherwise we won't know exactly what we're doing. Come to this bottom panel here, we can turn the yaw damper on. Leave the fuel pumps off. Actually we can turn our center pumps off for right now as well, because we do have center fuel. This is a very, very long flight, so that's why we're going to have fuel in the center pumps. Today we're going to arm the emergency exit lights, make sure our PAX ISO valve is on auto. PAX are off. We are on ground power and ground AC, so we don't need the PAX to be turned on. Flight level today is 260. Whoops. And looking at the chart, runway 1 is what we're taking off at, and it's at an elevation of 11, so we can leave that at 0. Let's back up just a little bit. It is cold. We don't really need to turn the heats on just yet, but we will as soon as the engines start. I have a feeling that we're going to have to de-ice, but I'm not quite sure yet. Lower panel is fine. We can go back to the pilot seat. We are carrying a total number of 113 plus 6 passengers today. So kind of half full, not quite full all the way, but it's good enough for me. Okay, GSX is waiting for me to open the doors for our catering crew. So we'll open those. If we look outside, we can see them setting up. Go back inside for a minute. We're going to now set up the FMC. Move this over here. Positive initiation. KDCA is where we are right now. We are on gate 26, but I don't know if it's going to do that. Nope. How about maybe C26? This departure, nope, it doesn't. Okay, I'm going to give up on that. This flight usually goes out of Bravo, out of Terminal Bravo, which is linked up. Like, we're a little bit off, but we're okay. Okay, all of the... I just grabbed the GPS from the airplane itself and just put it in. That's fine. We're going to go over the route. We have a company route. It's KDCA and KSEA, courtesy of PFPX. Adding that in, that puts everything in there. We are, I love this, we are Alaska flight number 1. I don't know where that came from, but that's okay. We're going out of runway 01. We can activate and exec that in. Let's see, using Topcat, we have a zero fuel weight of 56.4. We are using 2.4 in reserves. Cost index is going to be 30. I'm not sure what they use, but 30 seems to be the default. Planned fuel weight is, if I can look, 18.2. We are at flight level 360 today. It looks like they are done, so we can close those doors. Cruise winds. I do have active sky next, and at our flight level 360 we are seeing winds at 315 degrees at 60 knots, which is not too bad. Transition altitude is 18,000 as always in America. N1 limit. Using Topcat, we're going to do flaps 5 so we can see that we are doing a D rate of nothing. We have no D rate, but we are OAT out at 35 degrees. And that looks fine to me. Going to the takeoff page, we are at flaps 5. We can calculate our center of gravity just by double clicking it. Runway winds today, let me just update this to make sure that it's correct. It is 350 degrees, 350 degrees at 10 knots. Which is really low, actually. I was expecting it to be a lot higher than that. Our slope is 0, so we can go ahead and go back. We'll add these in. They're going to be deleted if I have to change anything. 155 is our V2 speed, so I'm going to plug in 165. Should actually be 10 above. Our runway heading today is 5 degrees. We're taking off of 01. And we can bug in the altitude at 18,000 feet for our transition. Arm the auto throttle. That's fine. We can put our flight directors on. Both needles up. Turn on data and terrain. I am going to turn the weather on, but I'll turn the weather on as soon as we push back. Now that everything's in there, we can go ahead and request fueling. Okay, fueling service is now requested. I can close out of this screen. Well, no, actually, I need to go back in there and make sure that our departure is correct. We are going off of runway 1 at Horto 2, I think. It would be nice if I had the flight plan up. Yes, Horto 2 with a buffer transition. Okay, it did say, I knew that was going to happen. We can exec that in. Go to the route page and put back in our takeoff speeds. Now let's go to the legs, make sure we don't have anything weird. It looks like everything is fine. The initial climb, followed by, oh, let's go into step mode. Plan mode, sorry. Zoom in a little bit. And we could step through this. Looks good, looks good, looks good, looks good. I have nothing. There's buffer. So as soon as buffer happens, we then shimmy on out of here. So that's fine. So everything looks good. If I zoom all the way out, you're still not going to see anything because we have a long way to go. I'm going to zoom back in just so I can see everything. Okay, so it looks like we're okay with this. Yeah, everything's fine. I think refueling just completed. Yep, refueling completed. So what I'm going to now do is turn on this upper panel here. We're going to turn on our seatbelt sign. Everything is fine. We can turn on the left forward pump because that will do the APU, and now we can ask for boarding. And when we ask for boarding, it's going to ask us to open up more doors, so we're going to open up our entry doors along with our cargo doors. And while we do that, I'm going to go to the co-pilot seat. I'm going to set up their flight director. Needles up. Data, terrain, and more data. Hello. You can hear our passengers getting on board. Okay, I'm going to turn the TCAS on to 2. We can now... Oh, we don't need to do that yet. We can put it on standby. We can test it out. So we're going to test our TCAS. Should hear TCAS test pass.
TCAS test pass.
Okay, we did pass. We can now go to auto brake on RTO for rejected takeoff. Our QNH is 30.11, so 30.11, so that's down here. It says 29.92, so we're going to turn that to 30.11, which I just had. There we go. We can ARM, VNav, and LNav. So everything is all set there. All we have to do is, as soon as we take off, we can just hit autopilot, and then we're good to go. Let's take a look outside. They're loading up our baggage. Going back in here, we can now close our front doors because our passengers are now inside. We have 10 minutes till departure. Everything looks like we're on time and on schedule. Sorry, took a drink. We'll do our flight checks and everything here. I guess we can start, let's turn on our APU. Once our APU starts up, then we can transfer power over and get rid of the ground power, and then we can push back. So this will be officially the start of the flight. Technically. Kind of. Not really. Needle is going up, it'll rev all the way up, and then it will calm down, and once it calms down, we'll get this light to turn on. Once that light turns on, we can transfer the generators over to the APU and get rid of our ground power. Alright, it's coming back down now. Okay, the APU light just turned on, so we're going to transfer our power over there, turn off the generator. Okay, with that we can now tell our ground services to turn off the ground power. We're still going to leave the air conditioning on and the wheel chocks still set. With that, I'll put our parking brake on so I don't forget. Turn it on to the engine page because we're going to start our engines. I have a feeling that we are actually going to push back first before we start our engines. So we'll still wait for that. Okay, boarding is completed. I can close all the doors now. Close doors, then we're going to ask for pushback and departure. Okay, yeah, they're giving me the icing warning. We don't need to, it's actually saying we don't need to ice, but what's going to happen?
Due to icing conditions, please stand by for engine start and
that.
push completed and brakes set.
Okay, we've removed all of ground services, so we can return on that. And now, actually, I think that's it. We can go to the FMC and load this up on the legs page.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
Hello, ground services. Thank you. We are too. We're going to turn our beacon light on. All of our pumps can come back on now.
Locking gear.
Oh, this is a weird view. Here we go.
Departure check
Okay, and we're pushing back. We can't actually start the engines yet, but we'll do that once they stop pushing us back. Look at that. Look at that sunrise. This area just had a blizzard, actually. Poor New York City and Washington, D.C., man, they just got downpoured with snow. And I was hoping that I could still do this video this morning. I logged in to see if there was any delays. There are no delays. So we're actually good to go with this video. Quite happy with that. Alright, come on. Alright, we're almost pushed back, so he's going to ask us to put our parking brake on in a minute.
Set parking brakes.
Parking brake set. Well, I tried to give you guys a view. There we go.
No truck disconnected. Bypass being removed.
Okay, we should be able to start our engine soon.
Left is clear. Right is clear. Clear to start engines.
Thank you. He waved to us, so we're going to start number 2. We have an increase in N2, increase in N1. Waiting until N1 hits about 2.5. And we'll add fuel. That should start that one up. Okay, now that we're getting engine 2 online, we're going to turn on our runway lights and our taxi light. We can turn our logo light on for right now. Should be okay. We can turn our TCAS all the way on. And then I'm going to turn the co-pilot's clock on. There we go. Our engine 2 is all the way up, so we're going to now go back into the cockpit and whoop, turn around and look at everything. Turn on engine 1. We have an increase in N2, followed by N1. N1 is almost to 2.5, and there we go. There we go. Engine 1 is now starting up. I'm going to go to this lower panel here. As soon as they start, as soon as that clicks back, I can now move the generators over to the engine power, and that happened. Okay, generators over to engine power. Make sure the packs are on. We can get rid of the APU bleed and then get rid of the APU. So thank you, APU. Turn all of the hydraulics on. Turn our probe heats and our window heats on. Everything looks good. Fuel pumps are all on. Everything is up and running. We can turn it to continuous, but we don't need to do that just yet. What we do for turning it to continuous is when we're ready for takeoff. Now, I did want to use ATC in this, but I have found out that they work up to trying to land. So once you try and land, then it doesn't really work very well. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and... Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Actually, not yet. We're going to test out our flight controls. So, all the way forward, all the way back, neutral, full left, full right, rudder left, rudder right, and neutral. Our trim is supposed to be 5.63. Unfortunately, I don't have the thing to pop up, so I have to estimate it. Yeah, that's about right. It doesn't have to be exact. And our flaps can be set to 5. 1, 2, and 5. And you'll see that right here. Should turn orange for in transit, and then once they're extended, it'll turn green. But we can start moving while that's happening. There's in green. So now we can turn off that, turn off our parking brake, and start taxiing forward. We're going to actually go forward and then eventually make a right. To a turn. I thought I was down a little bit further, but I guess not. So we will turn here. Doesn't really matter if we're on the outer or the inner taxiway, but this is a tight turn. Man, look at that reflection of that sun. Okay, get on the line. There we go. Okay, looking at the airport chart. If I can get to the airport chart. Oh, I don't know why that froze up there for a minute. Sorry, guys. We're going to be taking Kilo... Actually, we should be taking Juliet. So we're going to cross over to Juliet coming up at this next intersection here. It should be Mike. It's either Mike or Gulf. Or it's Foxtrot. Wow, I'm up even further than I thought. Okay, so we're going to take this intersection down. We're just going to kind of do a zigzag here. Okay, and then we'll follow Juliet all the way down. I'm going to assume that I have clearance to cross this runway because I didn't put anything else on and there's no air traffic controllers. So normally you'd actually get clearance to cross runway, whatever that one is. It looks like it's 04 and 22 or 04. It doesn't really matter. Alright, we're going to pass Echo and go to Juliet all the way at the end here. Kind of drifting left. There's Alpha. So Echo and then Juliet. Or it looks like I'm just going to Charlie. Okay, this must not be updated, but that's okay. Alright, we're about to enter into the runway. We're going to assume that we just have clearance to take off. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn on all of the runway lights. Or all of the landing lights, should I say. We are going to stop just before we take off, though. It is very hard to fly this plane alone. Okay, we're going to stop here. Just do some final checks. Parking brake set, just for a moment. We're going to continuous. We are going to ding the cabin. We're ready to take off. All the lights are set. We're going to turn this to strobe. TCAST is set. Transponder is set. Okay, we're good. We are going to assume cleared for takeoff. I'm going to hit the clock button there. Turn off the parking brake. Spool up to about 50%. Hopefully I can stay on the center of the runway. It looks like they're evened out. We're going to go to toga. And auto throttle takes over, and here we go. Airspeed coming on. Power is set. 80 knots. .100 knots for you Airbus fans. V1.
V1.
Rotating.
V2.
And we have positive rate. Gear up. Turn on LNAV, VNAV, and the... Oop. There we go. Autopilot can turn on. Flaps can go back to 2. And we'll take a look at this liftoff. Look at that. Flying over our capital. How's that for a sight? That is awesome. Alright, we'll jump back in. Whoops. Climbing up, 185 is good. We can go to flaps 1. So we can bugger up to 200. Lock the gear. Turn off the RTO, auto brake. Turn off the retractable lights at least for now, and same thing with the taxi and runway lights. The logo light can turn off. Whoops. The ignition switches back to off. We don't need them on continuous anymore. We definitely made it past 3,000 feet. We can now do flaps up all the way, and we can go to 220. Well, hello again. We're up at very close to cruising altitude here at 36,000 feet. Our flight level 360. Had a little bit of a weird issue. Apparently my altimeter went off for no apparent reason. Couldn't find the horn cutoff button. So if you ever have that problem, I mean, I did everything. I disengaged the auto throttle, I disengaged autopilot just to check and see and everything, and nothing worked. But, oh, there we go. We're hitting our top of the climb now. If you ever need it, it's up here. Where was it? Okay, well, I can't really see it. Here, let me change views here. Let's go look at it up here. I just saw it. Oh, there it is. The altimeter horn cut out. It wasn't really a problem. It was just not cooperating with me. So, cut it out, and then it worked. Anyway. So this is us at cruising altitude. My frames a second there. My FPS is going really weird, but it might be all the clouds. Holy clouds, look at that. Steady. Steady. Doesn't seem to jump when I'm in one position, but that's a lot of cloud cover. Well, I'm gonna get settled in. I got a long flight to go. It's only been 30 minutes, and this is supposed to be a 6-hour flight, so we'll check back in a little bit. Enjoy, everybody. Man, it is cloudy out there. Well, welcome back everybody to the flight deck. We're nearing the end of our plan. MLP is the last point at which we have to program our descent. Now, it is over it's about 480 miles away, which is fine. It's still going to take us some time to get there, but figured we'd go ahead and program this route in. We've been flying for about 3 hours since the last time I talked to you. A little bit longer than that, or a little bit shorter than that, but that's okay. Let's take a look at some charts here. We're going to go to departure. We're going to arrive at Seattle. We are taking, let's make sure our runways didn't change for some reason. Sometimes the weather does change while you're in flight, especially one that's this long. Okay, we are landing in 16 left. Our flight plan says we are going in at a Glacier 9 and a transition of MLP, which is set there. Okay, can exec that in. Take a look at the route. Let's look at the legs, make sure we don't have any discontinuities. I don't think we do. Nope, we do not. We do have a vector. I hate vectors, but whatever. Everything else looks fine. No destination path after Woody. Oh, well, that's because of the vector. Okay. Let's take a look at this, shall we? Let's go into plan mode. Holy crap. Okay, let's zoom out a little. Oh, I see. Okay, previous page. I want to go to where we are now. Okay, Withrow, I think. And then Squawk is going to be our next. Glacier, and then here we go. Now we got a Decel. We go into Woody, and then Heather. Then we have a vector that just goes straight out. And we somehow have to cross around into the Pharaoh. And then Douglas. Right into the runway. Okay. Oh joy, is that the way that this has it? Once we hit Glacier, it says to go to Jaskin? I'm trying to read the chart. And then Heather, and then Seattle. Okay, well, I guess we'll just deal with it. See, this is what's weird. Heather, no, that's about right. It is about right. Okay, so I'm always worried that my charts are not as updated as the flight plan. Okay, I don't see our top of descent yet. So once we hit top of descent, we'll start descending down to, it looks like 32. Let's see. It's going to be a while before we descend. Our descent looks like it's after Temple. And then we descend, actually 12,000 will be our descent point. So once we get closer to Whitrow and Temple, we'll start descending down. Let me look at the chart to see how we're going to land. We are landing on 16. Oh, what did we just say? Init ref. 16 left. And it doesn't look like there's any real speed off point, so we can just do the normal flaps, or the normal brake at 2. Flaps, we're going to use flap 30, but actually, let me update that. Our landing weight should be 58.8. So let's put that in there. That gives us a 30 flap speed of 141, which should be correct. Winds are 5 knots, so that should be good as well. So we should land at 146. The ILS is 110.3, so 110.3. That can go. Actually, let's do the course first. 163 is the course. Put it on this way. Put course in both. We are going to do a Category 3 auto landing, as always. Sorry, I'm just, like I said, I'm not used to my, not used to the flying pattern yet. 110.3, I think it was. Alright, Alright, 110.3 is now in both navs. Yeah, 110.3. Okay, looking good. Keep an eye out for that descent. We'll start descending down as soon as we hit it and continue forward from there. Hi again, guys. Looks like it's clearing up out there with the clouds. I mean, it's still not really that visible, but I mean, we are still 36,000 feet up in the air. Our top of descent is going to be here in about 60 miles, so we'll go ahead and program everything down. First thing that I wanted to do is jump on over to this panel. Whoa. Huh. So our altimeter meter failed. So that's, whoops. Huh. Well then. Don't really know how to fix that one, so let's do manual. And then reset back to auto. Nope, auto failed. Alright, so we're going to ignore that. We're going to program our minimums and whatnot, so let's see. Our minimum on this one looks like it's 640. It's either 640 or 880. I can never read these charts correctly. Well, the runway altitude is 430, so I'm assuming that it's going to be 640. So we'll program to 640 and go from there. 640 Barrow. Let's scroll up a little bit. Okay, our Q&H last was 30.11. I'm updating it now just to, nope, 30.12. 3012. Oh, I can barely read that. There we go. 3012 is set. In fact, actually, we can probably put that in here somewhere. Forecast. Nash 3012. Q&H. Check that in. Okay. Winds have not changed. They're still, well, they're only 3 knots now, so it's not really going to be that big of a deal when we come into land. Everything looks good. We're about ready to hit that, so I'm going to go ahead and just pre-jump it to 12,000 feet. We're going to bugger in 12,000 feet. So, as long as I don't press anything, as soon as we cross over our top of descent, the plane should automatically find a glide slope and slope down to 12,000 feet. As long as I continuously update that, we shouldn't have a problem. I don't feel like I'm missing much anything else here. I can zoom in a little bit more there. Nope, I am upset that that stopped working. I don't really know how to fix that, so... Huh. Auto fail. That might have been what I had the cutoff for. Anyway. I'll figure it out.